It's November 15th, 2015, Melbourne, Australia. We're less than a minute into the second round of a fight between Ronda Rousey and Holly Holm, with the UFC Women's Bantamweight Championship up for grabs. We're about to witness one of the most unexpected endings in UFC history. But before we get there, we have to understand why. What happened to make this such an important showdown? How did our bloodied champion and her massive underdog challenger get to this point? And why are we even in Australia? Let's rewind. So, the first thing that sticks out is the time. The fact that we're in the second round, there's only one other fighter who has faced Ronda Rousey that can say they've gotten that far. But even then, Rousey pulled out the win. And that can be said for every fight she's been a part of in the last 7 years. You have to go back to the 2008 Olympics in Beijing to find her most recent loss of any kind. And even there, she went on to win a bronze medal in judo, becoming the first American woman to ever earn an Olympic medal in the sport. Retiring from judo after those summer games, Rousey shifted her focus to MMA. To say that went well would be an insult. And I don't feel like insulting someone who can just casually do this. This is Rousey scoring a technical submission on Sarah D'Alelio via armbar. This is her submitting Sarah Kaufman via armbar. Here's her doing the same to Julia Budd. In addition to the method being the same, each of these wins for Rousey also happened in less than 1 minute. If you look at her first 3 fights as an amateur alongside her first 7 as a pro, both technique and time remained pretty consistent, with only 2 making it out of the first minute of round 1. The first person to truly make Rousey work for it was Miesha Tate, when they headlined a Strikeforce event in March 2012. That contest was for the Strikeforce Bantamweight belt, with Rousey then playing the challenger. But even though it went longer than her previous 4 fights combined, Rousey finished Tate off in the first with another armbar and claimed the belt. A belt that she would carry with her into the UFC. She became the first female fighter to sign on to Dana White's promotion and defended her belt with more armbars, then changed it up against Sarah McMahon when she earned a technical knockout via kicks to the body. One title defense later, she straight punched out Alexis Davis, needing just 16 seconds. How does one follow up that? Well, Rousey returned to her preferred method of victory against Cat Zingano to score the fastest win in UFC championship history. That's the long-winded way of saying Rousey is absurdly talented, but also that right here, the only women's bantamweight champ the UFC has ever known is in some trouble. Trouble that could either spell her first loss or lead to one of the most exciting finishes of her career. As she's repeatedly shown, all she needs is one opportunity to win a fight. While Rousey is stumbling, before we get into how she got bloodied, let's look at who has been doing it. Holly Holm, an absolute badass in her own right. But why is she here? Well, Holm also has never lost in her MMA career. And just like Rousey, she was extremely well decorated before taking up the sport. She got her start through kickboxing, but where Holm really made a name for herself was in boxing. She had been a champion boxer who held the IBA and WBF world titles. She had successfully defended her titles 16 times across 3 different weight classes. She was named Female Fighter of the Year twice by Ring Magazine. So from simply a talent standpoint, she's the best striker that Rousey has ever faced. But even with an incredible resume, Holm getting a shot at the title came as a major surprise. As of early August, she was ranked just 9th in the women's bantamweight division, and only had 2 other UFC fights to her name. After Rousey defended her title against Correia, everyone assumed that would lead to the trilogy fight of Rousey vs. Tate. Dana had said as much back in July, so when this matchup was announced, people were caught off guard. The headlines focused on those who weren't getting a shot, or the reactions to this matchup from others in the fight world. But that was likely more than fine for Holm, the determined, clinical fighter from Albuquerque, who recognized this was the biggest fight of her career. And whether Rousey believed it or just knew how to hype a fight, She gave Holm a ton of credit and said that Holly would be her biggest challenge to date. That's a pretty major statement from someone doing the unprecedented move of announcing their own fight on Good Morning America. The closest Holm got to boasting was when she pointed out that due to her skills, if Rousey were to win, it would be another feather in her cap. The fighter that many were writing off viewed herself as an opportunity for the champion who was already considered an all-time great. But even with both sides explaining why it was an incredible matchup, not much would have changed the minds of skeptics. Holm, like many before her, was a massive underdog entering the fight. As Chuck Mindenhall put it, the UFC hoisting her into the spotlight was like sampling something before it was ready. But then again, does that actually matter? Rousey's previous challengers were all seasoned, and we know how well they fared. Maybe the UFC knew what it was doing by offering a fresh face instead of giving Rousey the chance to sweep the trilogy. Either way, they definitely got lucky, because so far, this is more unexpected than anyone could have guessed. Holm has not shied away from the challenge, and just looking at Rousey, she knows she's in a hole. But before we get to why that is, let's focus on where we are and how we got here. I promise it helps. So this is Etihad Stadium. It's used primarily for cricket matches, but for the first time ever, the UFC came to Melbourne. Originally though, Rousey vs. Holm was set for January in Las Vegas at UFC 195. But just a week after that was announced, everything changed. With Lawler injured, the Women's Bantamweight Championship took over as headliner on the November card. While they had nearly 3 months heads up, it did expedite the process. And with a little less time to build hype, the champion became the promoter. See, on top of her MMA prowess, Rousey had become extremely marketable in a way the sport really hadn't seen. She was one of the highest paid female athletes, in part thanks to roles in Furious 7 and The Expendables 3. She made the cover of ESPN's The Body issue, and had even beat out Serena Williams in an ESPN Best Female Athlete vote. Proof that Rousey had deservedly become a household name. And that meant she could be a business tool for the UFC, who sent her out on seemingly endless appearances ahead of 193. She hosted an episode of SportsCenter on ESPN. She joined the Fox crew for the NFL Sunday Countdown. But the big appearance was The Tonight Show. Rousey talked up the challenge of Holm and proved to know what she was talking about when previewing the matchup.
This one's going to be a much longer fight because she's a 19-time boxing world champion with 100% takedown defense and like head kick knockouts. I mean, she's the biggest threat definitely to me.
But when giving her full prediction, she also had a sense of what to expect and how Holly might look to pull off the upset.
I feel like she's going to try and like keep distance and keep far away from me and get me frustrated to a point I'll make a mistake and she can try and kick me in the head, but it's not going to go like that. Not the way that she wants.
However Holm was going to try it, she had some pretty good folks training her. And as her opponent did promo after promo, Holm just kept training with minimal headlines created. She was more than calm in the months leading up to the fight. The closest she came to trash talk was saying that she had been envisioning how she would win, but really just seemed thankful for the opportunity. Rousey, on the other hand, began to proudly wear her confidence. She offered advice to Holm in a backhanded way, saying she wouldn't enjoy the life of a champion, would be happier as a contender, and that she hoped Holly would just accept the loss and enjoy the benefits that came from losing to Rousey. She didn't stop there though. Rousey seemed to already look past Holm and expand those thoughts to the entire division. Unsurprisingly, Holm remained unflappable, maintaining a more positive, anything can happen sort of mindset. And that lack of reaction was what it took to fully draw Rousey's ire. Facing off for one final time before the fight, the two had to be restrained by Dana White at weigh-ins. Holm didn't seem to be bothered by the dust-up.
I don't know, I was just having a drink, you know?
But Rousey took a slightly different approach.
I just wanted to get in their face and show her that I was there for a reason. That fake sweet act I see right through it. I really do. It was all fake. All until now. All that respect, all that everything, all you being sweet. I see right now that it's fake and you're gonna get it on Sunday.
Whether that was genuine or just a late push for more pay-per-view buys, it's up for debate. but it was the climax of a kinda bizarre back and forth. The champion growing annoyed with her challenger, even annoyed with the potential challengers down the road. The fighter right in front of her remaining laser focused on the upcoming fight and not giving her anything to use as material, and everyone just waiting for the fight to start. Okay, finally, how did we get to this point in tonight? Well, when the pair finally met in the octagon, Rousey continued her animosity towards Holm. When the challenger offered her fists, Rousey spurned the glove touch and quickly went to her side. Once Herb Dean got things going, it was obvious there would be no record finish. They circled and sized one another up, and although Rousey was the first to throw a punch, Holm was the first to connect. Rousey continued to be the aggressor, but Holm kept her at bay, even landing an oblique kick followed by a quick right. A little over a minute into the first, and Rousey connected with her first punch, but Holm shrugged it off. Shortly after, they clinched, and as Ronda worked Holm against the fence, Joe Rogan raised concern for the challenger.
This is not what Holly wants. Definitely does not want to be clinching with Ronda.
But as Holm worked herself out of it, she also caught Rousey high with a kick. They traded punches and took their time, but as Rousey approached, Holm stepped in with a huge left elbow. That left the pair spinning for control though, and the champ managed to take Holm down for the first time. Rousey did all she could to get the arm, but Holm squeezed out of it and back to her feet. Just as Rousey predicted, for as great of a striker as Holm is, she's not too bad on defense either. They continued trading, but anything Rousey landed, Holm responded with a punch even bigger, or repeated kicks to the upper leg. One of the bigger shots came with a minute 19 left in the round. As Rousey closed in, Holm quickly met her with a left that rocked Ronda. That was followed with another as Rousey's hands drifted down. And although it wasn't too damaging, Holm managed to take down Rousey with under a minute left. They got right back up, but it was proof that Ronda was exhausted. She did her best to chase the challenger, but as the first round wrapped up, it felt like Rousey was just as shocked as the crowd. As the bell sounded, the champ went to her corner, bloodied and needing answers. Realistically, it was the first round Rousey had ever lost in her professional career. And at the start of the second, it was more of the same. Ronda played the aggressor, and Holm took the opportunities that were given. Only 30 seconds in, and Ronda went for a left that Holm ducked under, which sent Rousey to her knee and into the fence, leaving the commentators with just one word. Wow. Rousey looked to slow things down, and as she stopped rushing, the pair danced. Each fighter looked for an opening to take, knowing that regardless of how it had gone up to this point, any good shot could end it. Which brings us here, seconds away from history. A challenger who has dominated the fight in a way hardly anyone saw coming. The former boxing world champ whose selection for this card left people scratching their heads. But if she could hang on here, would end one of the greatest runs the sport has ever seen. Still, it's a huge ask. Rousey has proven time and again that she doesn't need much to end it. She's the only women's bantamweight champion in UFC history. And while this has been her toughest fight yet, there's no one that would count her out until it's all said and done. Someone has to hoist the belt, and someone has to suffer their first loss. Welcome to a moment in history.
Beautiful. Beautiful. She's hurt.
Ronda's in trouble.
She's hurt.
Hey, Holly looking to finish.
He's out.
Holly Holm is the new UFC bantamweight champion of the world.
Hey, thanks for watching. If you want more of that good fight content, check out this Beef History. Or if you want more Rewinder, well, we've got that too. Subscribe to SB Nation, hit the bell for notifications, and we'll see you soon.